Has anyone noticed the trend over the last couple of years when it comes to Game of the Year? For the years 2022 and 2023, there's generally been one clear winner for Game of the Year across most major outlets. 2022 was Elden Ring, 2023 with Baldur's Gate 3. Now, these are fundamentally different games from one another. Baldur's Gate 3 is a D&D-esque adventure, filled with plot details and interesting player agency when it comes to progressing the plot and interacting on each individual scenario. Elden Ring, though, takes place in this breathtaking open world where you're going about exploring, finding all these individual secrets, and overcoming monolithic challenges with whatever tools and unique gadgets and doodads you have accumulated in your playthrough up to that point. These are very striking games that resonated with the hearts of many people, and got many people back into gaming to begin with. But why these two? What is it about Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring that has resonated with so many people, and Elden Ring's DLC being one of the most anticipated game releases next year despite just being DLC? Well, it's not confirmed that it'll come out next year, but we kind of expect it to, you know what I mean. Well, I think this indicates a trend, a rise and a return to the open-ended nature of games, and games that prioritize and advocate for player agency first and foremost. You see, for quite a while now, and even still in some capacity, a lot of the big releases or big games that get a lot of hype have been very linear in design. Linear cinematic single-player experiences or these live service multiplayer games. But then you have games like Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, and even Tears of the Kingdom, you could argue, come into the picture and make these massive splashes in the industry and resonate with so many, and I think it's for a very simple reason. The gameplay and the interaction and the input that you have as the player on the outcome of what happens in the game is drastic. You feel like you have an impactful influence on the events of the game in whatever form or fashion that they take in that individual game. Elden Ring, within terms of your build, where you want to explore your own story in the world. The game has multiple routes, different quest lines, and immersive ways for you to absorb yourself in the lands between to overcome these challenges placed in front of you, however or with whoever you want to overcome them with. Baldur's Gate 3 gives you a lot of player choice in terms of how you encounter each individual battle or scene, how you talk to individual characters, how you progress different quest lines, how creative you can be in terms of how you can solve the problem or issue being posed to you in the game, with many branching paths and interesting individual scenes that you can find on your own organically as a result of the consequences of your own choices. And then you have a game like Tears of the Kingdom, where, sure, the main story is just kind of there, but the way you interface with Hyrule itself is far more open-ended than it was in Breath of the Wild. You have things like Fuse really showing up the gameplay side of things and rewarding and incentivizing you to tackle the challenges in the open world and to fight individual monsters, to acquire these resources to make even better weapons or wacky combinations of your own machinations. And then when it comes to Ultra Hand, where you can fuse various things together to create actual machines, platforms, or devices that you can utilize to interface with the world and the challenges and the puzzles that the game poses to you, that open-ended nature, that player agency in the gameplay resonated with so many people, understandably so, and rightfully so in my opinion. And that sense of player agency being the priority in the experience in a unique and interesting and individualized way that benefits what the game is trying to do is some of the reason, and a major reason, in my opinion, why The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, and Elden Ring resonated with so many people. Because you don't feel like you're along for the ride, you are the ride. You have a decision to make. You are in the driver's seat, choosing where we go. And the game is giving you the resources and the tools to benefit and add consequence and decision at every moment that they can. You are thrown into a sandbox, but you are given various tools, ways that you can interface with the game to make the experience still feel handcrafted and special, but also individualized to your own preferences, so that how you play the game matters. It has consequence. You are rewarded for playing the way you want to play. and you have consequences for playing that way as well. It's not necessarily give or take, it's just your decisions have weight and meat to them. You are rewarded for thinking outside of the box, trying new things, different combinations, whereas a large part of the time, whatever your preferred playstyle is, you can still play the game like that. In Elden Ring, you can use summons, magic, faith spells, dragon abilities, weapon enhancements, bleed builds, freeze builds, elementally enhance your weapons. You can use bows if you really want to. Giant two-handed swords, dual wield, twin blade, samurai katanas. And you can take down whatever boss that the game throws at you in a way that suits your playstyle, that is fun and interesting to you, and that is rewarding to you, the player. Because the game gives you enough leeway, has enough trust and faith in your own intelligence and agency, that it allows you to engage and interface with the game however way you wish. You never feel like you're going down a prepared course. You never feel like you are going down some linear corridor of an experience where you have no say or agency, you are just along for the ride. No, these games put you in the driver's seat. They put you in a position to where you are truly playing the game. You are being interactive with the interactive media. And I think some of the major reasons that these games have resonated so much with people, even from a story perspective, is because that agency, that layer of interactivity, is what makes video games so special and unique. They can pair music with beautiful visuals, but also allow you to choose how the outcome is portrayed, to have some agency on the events of the screen that are happening before you, on the story unraveling before you. It lets you be the conductor, to have these massive cinematic moments happen because of your inputs and through the gameplay. Rarely do these games feel the need to cut into your gameplay experience and your immersion to show you some pre-rendered cutscene. In Baldur's Gate 3, the dialogue is an active part of the gameplay as you choose your responses and you do your dice rolls to see what outcome you get in certain situations, on top of all the agency and ways that you can interact in the combat or setup before a fight and after the fight. In Elden Ring, look at how many people gravitated to the stories of Melania and Radahn, Ranni, despite not getting traditional amounts of character development or cutscenes to really showcase their individual characters, because the game never really needed to. It understands show, don't tell. The game is smart and confident enough in the world and characters that it created that it will allow you to just play through it. It's short, but it's so sweet. Same thing with Tears of the Kingdom. I think the story is one of the weaker parts of the game, but interfacing with the actual world and going on this giant expedition and exploration around the world of Hyrule, in the sky, down the catacombs, and the ruins of the underground, or just navigating the plains of Hyrule or the mountains, or the snow or the desert or whatever. The game rewards you by paying attention and playing. You develop a sense of player knowledge that benefits you, that forever changes how you interact with the game. You feel yourself getting better throughout all three of these games, understanding what makes them tick, and how exactly and what exactly you want to get out of these games. At no point in any of these games does it force you to go along every quest line in the game. It doesn't. You get what you put in. And if you want to be a lore nerd and learn every book and research every little individual piece of lore and story in the games, you can stop and smell the roses if that is your prerogative. If you want to blast through the game in whatever form or fashion you want, the game lets you do that. The games let you do that. And if you want some middle ground somewhere on that spectrum, the games let you do that. And that sense of player agency and feeling like you matter and that your choices matter, both in terms of story but also gameplay, that resonated with so many people, and I still expect it will in the future. Dragon's Dogma 2 seems like it could be a next big thing in this regard, and I genuinely hope. I still want a lot of variance and variety when it comes to game releases and styles of games, but I would love to see more games that lean into being video games, into these interactive pieces of media, prosper and shine and come into existence. I want more games like Baldur's Gate 3, like Elden Ring, like Tears of the Kingdom, that give you this sense of player agency and don't punish you for thinking outside of the box with an invisible boundary, or forcing you along this linear path. I want those games to exist still, but I want more of these games to also exist, because I think they are finding a real audience and a place to thrive in the modern games industry. And that, to me, is a reason to be optimistic. And the fact that these design philosophies can prosper in wildly different styles of games. Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, Elden Ring are not similar games. They're completely different to one another, but they have this underlying network, these threads that connect all of them with player agency and rewarding the player and having consequences for how the player interacts and interfaces with the game world and the story. And that's a really cool thing in my opinion, and something I would love to see be expanded on and iterated on in the future. And with that, I will call the video there for the day. Leave a comment down below with which game was your favorite and why. And tell me of an interesting scenario that you had in the game that you didn't expect that you could do. It could be something small, something massive, just something that made you think, oh wow, the game actually lets me do this. I would love to hear your stories, to hear your perspectives, and to hear your thoughts and your opinions. Stay safe out there. Have a great day. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.